Hi guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're talking about 5 book series I need to finish. So one of my New Year's resolutions for reading this year was to try to basically get down my TBR. For every 2 new books that I'm reading, I'm only allowed to buy 1 new book that I haven't read before. And so in looking at the shelves that I have, I was definitely taking a look at my TBR recently and realized that I have a problem with finishing series. It's not all series, but it's definitely something that I've noticed for a while. And so I found 5 series that I have either all or most of all the books on my shelves, and I just haven't finished them yet. So in order to keep myself accountable, I thought I would make a video to sort of show you guys the 5 main series that I know I have basically all of the books on my shelves that I want to finish, and hopefully this will make me want to finish them this year in 2020. So let's jump right on in. The first series that I have here is the Imura series by Jonathan Maberry. So this one I have 4 books of: Rot and Ruin, Fire and Ash, Flesh and Bone, and Dust and Decay. So I have read the first 2 books in this series. I gave the first one, I want to say, like a 4 stars. I gave the second one a 5 stars. However, slight spoiler alert, there is a character who dies in the second one, and that is the reason I have not continued on with the series. This, in case you were not able to tell by the covers, is a YA zombie series. Jonathan Maberry actually does quite a few zombie type of books. He even has an adult zombie series, and so people do die. However, I really enjoyed one of the characters in the first 2 books that, like I said, one of them passes away in the second book, and so it hit me in the feels so hard. I wonder if I even have on my Goodreads exactly when the last time it was I read this book. 6 years ago. It doesn't specify exactly, I don't think. Let me see. Okay. January 9th of 2014 is when I wrote my review, which would have been like almost exactly when I finished it. So yes, we are officially 6 years in to having read the second one and never picking up the third or fourth. I do want to say I picked up the third and fourth basically when they published these paperback versions, just because that's what I started the series in, and I do love the like way that they did the covers on these. I love the writing style. I gave both books really high ratings, and it was just one character death that did it for me, and I haven't continued on with the series. Now, I basically own all of the books in the series. There is a 5th book in this series that is a collection of short stories that don't follow the main character. So I don't consider that technically part of the series for me. I don't always read the short stories that go with series. And then I know Jonathan Maberry within the last few years has actually started writing a sort of spin-off to this world, which on Goodreads is still considered part of the series, or I guess part of the world technically, because I don't think it's part of this original series, but it is in the same world, still dealing with zombies. I would like to, hopefully soon, read at least these 4 books. I'm probably gonna have to reread the first 2 again, just because, like I said, it's been 6 years since I read the second one. But I own all 4 that technically make this series complete, and I just haven't done it yet. So I would really, really like to get to these. So the next series that I would like to finish is going to be Dreamin Sun by Ichiko Takano. This is a manga series, and I own all of the books. So we have very shiny covers. Book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is a series that I've actually talked about multiple times on my channel because I do absolutely love it, but I've never finished it. The last book I actually read in this series was number 6, and that was back in April of 2018. After I read book number 6, I kept purchasing the volumes, but I'm one of those people, especially with manga, that I like to read multiple at a time because like I said, especially with manga, it doesn't take very long. So I can finish multiple volumes of this in a day, and it got to the point where I had read 1 through 6. I think I got number 7, got number 8, eventually got number 9 and 10, I think pretty close afterwards, and number 10's the last one, and I just haven't picked them up yet, because I want to say I got number 10 within the last few months of a book haul near the end of 2019, so it is a relatively recent ending to the story. Like I said before, I absolutely love this one. I've talked about it multiple times on my channel. It's a shoujo manga about our main character Shimana, who after her parents have a new baby, doesn't really feel like she's getting enough attention, but also feels like she's old enough to sort of do things by herself. She moves out and moves into a like community home with a couple other guys from her school, and she's all about just sort of trying to figure out what her dream in life is and trying to do things for herself. It is a really cute story. I love the art, and I just really need to finish it. The next series that I would like to talk about is going to be the Miriam Black series by Chuck Wendig. So these are my original covers for the series. We have Blackbirds, Mockingbird, and the Cormorant, and those were the versions on the covers that I read. I actually finished the Cormorant in April of 2014, and then they decided to change the covers to these. I'm not mad at these. These are actually hardcover. Back in the day, and actually even now sometimes, a lot of sci-fi fantasy and romance, so like the more generalized types of books were the ones that weren't like literary fiction. A lot of the times, if they were new authors or new series and the people weren't necessarily sure in publishing that people were going to buy them in a hardcover or a bigger paperback version, they started off with only mass markets. And I'm okay with mass market paperbacks. I know a lot of people aren't. So it wasn't a big surprise when Chuck Wendig started getting really big that they decided to re-release the Miriam Black series in hardcover, big book versions. However, I really enjoyed those covers, and they're not using them for the rest of the series, so I stopped reading the new books as they were released until I eventually purchased some of these nice hardcover versions, I think off Book Outlet a couple years ago. So again, we have Blackbirds, Mockingbird, and the Cormorant, but I have also picked up Thunderbird and the Raptor and the Wren. I am only missing one book from this series, which I believe is called Vultures. I believe the picture up here for a little bit. And that one I believe came out in 2019. I just have not picked it up yet because I haven't finished reading these. So technically I have read the first 3 books in the series. I gave all of them 5 stars. Absolutely love them. I love our main character, Miriam Black, who is very sort of sarcastic and witty and takes no prisoners. It's just, I love her so much. But that means I have not read Thunderbird or The Raptor and the Wren, or obviously Vultures. I'm only missing one book in this series. This is another one that I've been really wanting to reread and continue on with the series because of how much I absolutely loved this series. I don't know all the full details anymore, but basically the main premise of the series, and at least the first book, is that Miriam Black is our main character, and she is someone who, when she touches somebody, she can like see when they're gonna die, how they're gonna die, and she has never been able to change that fate. However, there is somebody in the first book that she just somehow decides, I'm going to try to change this person's death, try to make it so it doesn't happen, and she gets involved with tons of crazy stuff. Again, I don't know all the full details, and I don't want to spoil anything for you guys because I absolutely loved it. But again, it's just one that I have not read in almost 6 years now, and I need to continue. The Vultures is the last book in the series. I tried to pick series for this video where I know they are completed, and I just still have not finished them. So Vultures came out last year. It is the last book in the series. I have no more excuse to not read it. The next series that I would really like to finish is going to be the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Now, I unhauled some of these books in January. I put up a video in January, and I never wanted to not read them, and I definitely explained it in the unhaul, but they came out with new covers in February, and I purchased them this week, and so I guess it's time for me to finish the series. So we have Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. I have read Cinder and Scarlet before, and actually I read Scarlet in May of 2015. Are you guys seeing a pattern here? Most of these books I have not picked up in what feels like years and years and years. It feels like forever. And these are series I need to finish. I, again, am probably not going to read Fairest. I don't always read the short stories or novellas that go with series, and so for me personally, especially since Fairest never got a new pretty cover, I'm considering these for the series I need to read. I do really want to reread Cinder and Scarlet so I can get to Cress and Winter, but I sort of slightly had an excuse because of the fact that I wanted these pretty covers. They came out February 4th. They are now here. I can't get over how gorgeous they are. And they're nice floppy paperbacks as well, and I have no more excuse not to read these. These are like sci-fi fairy tale retellings. I'm sure most people know what this series is, especially if you're in the YA community, but I absolutely love the first two I read, and now I need to finish the series. And then the last series that I want to finish is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Yes, okay, I did just specify a little earlier in this video that I picked out series that I know for a fact are finished. This is not finished, however they went on hiatus in 2019 and we weren't expecting any more comic issues or anything to be released until most likely 2020. I haven't heard anything else about them yet, but I also haven't looked, so I'll have to see. But that means it was relatively finished for the time, and I haven't finished them yet. So for this one, we have Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6, Volume 7, Volume 8, and Volume 9. Now the last one of this series that I finished was Volume 6 in July of 2016, so I have 7, 8, and 9 here that I did not read yet. This is another series, sort of like the manga, where I was waiting for more issues and more volumes to be released so that I could sort of marathon them through, because they don't take very long to do. This is also a series that is very heavy sometimes and emotional, and I am very, very invested in these characters' lives, and so I don't feel like, for me personally, one volume gives me enough to be satisfied, even though I think I've given every single book like 5 stars. It is that good. But once I heard that they were going on hiatus in 2019, I did, you know, pick up Volume 9, and usually I would read like 7, 8, 9. 3 volumes is plenty. I didn't want to like say goodbye to this series for an unspecified amount of time because they weren't really writing anymore yet. And yet that's exactly what I did, because I didn't finish reading them. So I have them here anytime I would like to read them, and I just haven't yet. I do this to myself quite often, and I don't know why. So this is one of those series, again, I would like to reread everything because it has been years, and I would like to sort of catch up and get reacquainted with a world that I know and love in order to finish, at least for this one, what is available. If you guys would like to see maybe like a weekend reading vlog where I read these and maybe get a little bit spoilery into my thoughts about them, let me know down below, because I would totally be up for that, because I absolutely love these. Also, just keep in mind, these are mature graphic novels. There is sex, drugs, rock and roll. Very much violence and nudity and everything, but if you are of the age to read these or the maturity to read these, they're great. So those are basically my top 5 series that I do want to finish, and I am like hoping I get to them in 2020, because otherwise we're just adding more years onto how long it's been since I've read these books. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up on Mondays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye!